Hello again. Welcome to another episode of How to Make the Most Out of Canvas. Today I am coming at you with an infographic style lesson. So I'm trying to think about how do you present back information to others visually. And given that you're here, I'm not going to preach to you about the value of visual communication and how presenting back your information visually is a much more persuasive and useful medium than just text and bullet points on a PowerPoint slide. But I do think that it bears noting that even just for you to be creating this with any information that you have gathered, when you think about how you're going to present that back to others or how you want to remember it visually, when you construct that visual layout and put your content in it, it is going to help you learn and distill and digest all of that information yourself. So it's not just about communicating for others. Sometimes it's also about communicating to ourselves and having us hold on to that important data in a way that's easy to digest and memorable. So here we have an example. We've got our main building block, which is the pyramid. And then around that, we've got these, they're pretty much repetitive containers, right? So they're all the same format. They just hold different information. And it's fairly simple. And you'll see it's fairly simple to build as well. So let's get to that. Knowing that we are we're looking for that pyramid. I know the pyramid is going to be part of Build Your Canvas because we're talking about a main focal element within our content. I'm pretty sure it's part of frameworks, but for ease, I am going to type in pyramid into my search bar, and here she is. She's here, and I'm going to pull her over there. And then, in the name of a demo and being fast, you do not need to see me type in text, all right? So we're going to imagine I've typed that in. I want to select everything, and then I'm just going to filter on text, and I'm going to copy that over, and I put them round about where they should go. And then we're going to go for the icons. So ideation, we definitely want a light bulb, right? I'm going to come down to icons. And I currently have my search set up to search only in the current selection. So if I go light bulb, here we go. So if I didn't have it set that way, if I had it set to all sets, it's going to search across everything. And I don't want anything large. I just want these very small small icons that have been designed to be that size. They're not to overpower the design. So that's why I've got that set for just now. Refinements was the arrows. So if I type in arrow, I'm kind of converging was what I was looking for. And I thought that this was a good symbol for kind of pushing your information into a narrower funnel. Here we go. We're squeezing information right here. And then concepts was test tubes, I think, because we're kind of playing around, right? So we're going to put science and test. And then for final idea, I remember I just typed in winner because that made sense. I don't think final wouldn't have come up with this, and I don't think final will come up with anything. Final is, sometimes you have to really play around with the... is it synonyms? Whatever the thing is for other words that means the same. And so I went for winner with this one. And then we need the arrows. They're going to come from... Now this is when I'm going to remove this filter. I'm going to go back to all sets because I really do want one of the larger arrows. And I know which ones I'm looking for. But you feel free to just kind of have a play around, a look around. I want this one for sure. There we go. Let's grab that. Concepts. Now you'll see that the icons got the lines got quite small. That's because we've scaled it down. So I'm probably going to bump up the... normally it's on 6, so I'm going to bump it up, I think, to 10 and just see what happens when I do that. Make sure that line starts feeling like it's part of the design. Concept, something like that. And I think what I will also do is lock this pyramid. And you know what, while I go and place all the arrows, am I going to speed up this video? Well, I think we'll be done pretty quickly, so maybe I will, maybe I won't. If the speed changes, you'll know I did. Hang on a minute. We know that with that arrow that I was about to drag over a new arrow because I want one from pointing from the different direction, but I was about to drag it from the main panel, which means my stroke weight change will not it will not be affected by the stroke weight change. You have to drag it from that right panel there if you want to see the stroke weight changed or the colors changed. So something like this is fine for just now. We can always tweak it at the end, like that, and then of course it was getting the sticky notes in. I actually have I've started using batches of colors. Like I've defined colors that I think look really nice together, and that's kind of how I present information, whether they happen like that in the workshop or not. When I come to presenting back my information or creating designs in Miro, I like to sometimes, if the value is there, change the color. So we're going to do something like this. Yeah, I'm going to come back to you. I'm definitely going to speed this one up. See you in a minute. And there you have it. We have now created it rather quickly. Of course, you probably wouldn't have been creating post-it notes. You would probably have been copying them over from your wherever you've been doing your workshops, or wherever your template is lying. You'll have moved over. Maybe you recolored it, but you resize it into the pyramid, and everything looks lovely. The only thing I'd have to note at the end of this is, of course, presenting back information depends on what screen size and format people are going to be using. So if you're presenting it back in a Miro board, this is absolutely fine. You can totally have this format, different formats, because people can move around and look at it any way they want to look at it. It's very easy to inspect that information. But if you were putting this into a PowerPoint slide, then you would never really use so many on the bottom because nobody's going to be able to read that in a PowerPoint slide. This even is probably starting to be a little bit small. I would probably, for a PowerPoint slide, hey, let's do that in a different lesson and not this one, because then we start getting into conceptual and talking about visuals without actually doing visuals. But just be mindful of, can people read this? Do they have the option to zoom in and out? And if they don't, you have to be really careful with legibility. So that would be one design lesson technique of the day, in amongst all the others. Have a beautiful day. Thanks for joining me, and I hope this was useful. Bye.